In 2012, when Astrid was about to leave Hayastan and come to VANADZOR as a new bride, she knew she'd be living in a ramshackle hut, a relic of the 1988 earthquake, but probably did not have a full conception of what this would mean. I myself wasn't raised in such conditions. I grew up in a normal house. I had never lived in a domik, so I'm not used to living like this. And the fact that my children are stuck with these conditions is very painful for me. Bagrat had lived in this hut ever since he was 5, and its dreadful living conditions are all he has known throughout his life. He was raised here and has used his bare hands to add some room to the supposedly temporary hovel. I've been here since I was very young. I don't even remember much. It was a long time ago. This is how people are usually. Wherever they happen to live, they adjust to it as they grow up. If it's a domik you live in, you're perfectly aware of the difficulties involved. But since there isn't anything you can do about it, you go along and adapt. Located in the heart of VANADZOR, a city in Armenia's Lori region, this hut is home to a family of 6. Every year, ever since I came to VANADZOR, we've been promised housing assistance, so I've just tried to make the best of things. Given these conditions, I've done everything so that my kids could have as happy and carefree a childhood as possible. As to the degree to which the 28-year-old mother of 3 is able to accomplish this, and in order to have an idea about the things needed to improve the family's life, it would be enough to spend a few moments walking through the hut with Astrid. This section here was in bad shape. The panels were showing. We repaired it only a few days ago. We built this window to make the room brighter. I use this area as a kitchen. This door is always shut during winter. Imagine how cold it gets. So this is our so-called kitchen. This is our entryway. We put a heater here in the winter. As you see, it's all broken. We spent the whole winter in this room here. I closed this section off with curtains and wood panels, and we spent the whole winter here. That door was kept closed. That one too. We used a portable heater for as long as it was possible. Sometimes we had to do without a heater, so my kids had to be covered in blankets. That's how we kept warm. Winters are terrible in a domik. And it's scorching hot in summer. You might say this hut is nothing more than an enclosed space to protect us from the rain and the snow. But as far as the cold is concerned, we're out of luck. At the start of winter, I pulled this board forward like this and closed this section off by hanging blankets, a bedsheet, and a curtain on top. That's how we were somewhat protected from the wind and the cold. These are horrible conditions for children to be living in. The young mother, who is already resigned to living in these conditions, dreads the likelihood that her children will be struck by chronic illnesses. She's sick. She's been running a fever of 102 degrees for a week now. She gets sick often. And since childhood, she's had an ear condition because of the dampness in the hut. The living conditions are terrible for not only the children, but the adults as well. Astrid's father-in-law, who used to live here, died of pneumonia at the age of 54, while her mother-in-law suffers from leukemia. My mother-in-law needs to be hospitalized, but we can't afford it. She has leukemia and is also anemic. She's on medication. Astrid has never had a job. She receives $70 a month in social assistance from the government. Her mother-in-law receives a little less than that in disability benefits. Bagrat does not have a steady job. I get called for felling trees or cutting wood. It's not always that I'm able to keep the kids happy, to buy them what they want, to get them the kinds of food they crave for. When you go into a store with your child and you don't have enough money to buy what she wants, you are awful as a parent. With the scant government assistance and Bagrat's occasional earnings, which total less than $200 a month at best, the family can't possibly save money to buy a house. Bagrat has lost all hope, but Astrid has faith. I always put my trust in God. I never despair. I do try to make things better despite the odds, but ultimately I've pinned my hopes on God. If God wills it, we will have a house. My belief is that God will guide some kind people to provide us with a home.